Well, also.
And we also have Scotty Bowman, Community Advisory Council member out of District 4. As entertainment journalist Greg Dunmore with us.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, good
Coastal
afternoon.
Media. How you doing, Dr. Entertainment?
I'm doing better now that I'm talking to this distinguished group of people.
Thank you. Tea with the Commish started off as a roundtable discussion where intellectual guys come together, talk about issues that are a hindrance to our community. One of those issues we're going to discuss today is going to be chokeholds. Not long ago, we saw what occurred in Minneapolis with brother George Floyd were killed by an officer that had his foot up, that had his knee in his neck for over 8 minutes. Right now, chokehold still become an alarming issue right now to this day. I'm still calling for the video of our good sister Nikita Wallace, who was placed in a chokehold by a Detroit officer on San Juan Street. Still, the Detroit police commissioners have not seen that video. Been requesting that video since last year. Still waiting. Like to get a hold of that video. We like to see what really occurred on San Juan Street, involving Nikita Wallace, a Black woman, put in a chokehold by a Detroit police officer in uniform. Commissioner Davis, what do police reform means to you in the 21st century, and what steps should we take as far as putting together more layers and oversight?
Well, we need true police reform, and to me, it means a lot of things. Principally, it means that right now we utilize a lot of city resources for the police department. I think we still need a police department. Hello?
Am I here, this Beulah?
Yes, we hear and see you.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Okay, I think we still need a police department, but I think we need to reallocate some of those funds elsewhere. We need to make sure that we have trained people able to deal with people that's mentally ill, and make sure the people that are mentally ill and others are getting the appropriate resources to deal with them. And they should not be people going to jail or to the prison system. So we have to reallocate some of our funding to make sure that we're truly serving all of our citizens.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Beulah, we talking about police reform right now. What's some of the police reform that you like to see? One of the police reforms I like to see is banning chokeholds, not only here in Detroit, America's blackest, poorest city, but across the country. Should police officers be able to use chokeholds in certain capacities, or should it just flat out ban? I'm for straight up banning chokeholds entirely. It's sending a wrong message when you have white officers policing in the city of Detroit with this racist mentality. We saw what happened with Joyce Floyd, a good brother who was placed in, was in a chokehold. Officer had his knee in his neck. That killing brother Joyce Floyd. Right now, here's a picture we blowing up right now with Nikita Wallace, who was recently placed in a chokehold right here in the city of Detroit. Do you support banning chokeholds?
Should nobody be putting their hands on nobody, period, at all. Unless there's a law being broken, you should not be putting your hands on nobody. Whether it's a chokehold or a push or getting in within 4 to 6 feet of people's personal body space. I believe there's a law in the books now that nobody is allowed to get in between for like an arm length like 4 feet of your personal body space, or that is intrusion. But however, we got to get rid of Mike Duggan. All these things are coming because of Mike Duggan, and they want Black and brown citizens out the city of Detroit. And if we don't get rid of Mike Duggan, it's gonna be chokeholds every day, all day. So we can ban them, but we all know, I don't know if you all know, but the police department takes their directions from their mayor's office. That's every city, whether it's urban, whether it's suburban, whether it's rural. The police department takes their directions from the mayor's office. So we have to keep that in mind.
And Commissioner Davis, what do you think about racism? Do you see racism growing within the Detroit Police Department?
I think the Detroit Police Department has always had racism. I think that because I'm older than the rest of y'all, you know, so I remember being stopped by the Detroit police, you know, growing up. They used to be quick to stop Black people, especially before the time of Coleman Young. They still are quick to stop Black people. We still have trouble within the department because just looking at those incidents over at the 6th precinct not so long ago, and also looking at the fact that look at the 12th and the 11th precinct where you had officers going to battles, where you had Black officers from the 12th and white officers from the 11th actually getting altercations. You know, so racism is alive and well, and race always matters to me.
Is the 12th precinct happens to be the same precinct that had the noose hanging in the precinct? What precinct was that?
I believe that was the 9th, but I'm not sure.
The 9th precinct is over there on Gratiot.
I didn't know if it was the 11th or the 12th, but it wasn't long ago where a noose was hanging. And see, you know, Commissioner
But it was one of the precincts on the east side.
Commissioner Davis worked for, you know, retired from the city of Detroit. You mentioned something when wires just don't hang the way they were hanging. Can you explain that a little bit?
Oh, I know, right. There was somebody that said, but they was just pulling wires. You know, I worked in an industrial setting. I worked at the wastewater treatment plant for 34 years. I've seen a lot of contractors pull wires. You don't pull wires like that. You don't make a noose to pull wires. That was a poor example that they was using. And that was just another attempt just to cover up the fact that we do have issues that's not being addressed.
So right now we have racism in the department, which we gotta focus on recruiting, how to recruit more African American males and females from the city of Detroit to become officers. Right now, we don't see enough of young officers from the city of Detroit that's interest in being a Detroit police officer. And right now, community policing, we still have a long way to go. You know, when you see a Nikita Wallace, we're gonna blow that up again. When you see a Nikita Wallace, Black woman placed in a chokehold, you know, it actually sends the wrong message to your community. You know, no one from your community is interested in being a police officer.
No, you got that. That is true, Commissioner Bell. The young people are not interested in being a police officer because they're getting beat up by the police.
You know, and in regards to that, you actually find the community being more distant from the police. We have a problem with, you know, with officers living outside the city of Detroit. You know, not living in the city where they work. If officers lived in the city of Detroit, the likelihood they wouldn't be treating Detroiters the way they do. Nikita Wallace didn't deserve to be in the chokehold on San Juan Street by the Detroit police or any department or any agency. We got to ban chokeholds, not only in Detroit, but Chicago, Philadelphia, everywhere there are people of color.
May I ask the question? Excuse me.
Black lives matter.
May I ask the question, Commissioner?
Who's
Can you
this?
hear me? Yeah, this is Greg Dunmore. I'm just curious to know, because when I see this, it's alarming, of course, and these visuals are always, as they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. But I am curious in terms of balance. And when Bueller said that, yeah, young people don't want to be police officers because of what is happening with the violence, but in terms of balance, are there not police officers who are doing jobs that should also be spotlighted that don't show this sort of viciousness? Are there not police officers that young people should be made aware of that would be role models who take their job seriously and are not flawed in the decisions that so often are being spotlighted? I'm just curious, do we have a police force where the majority of the police officers are doing this kind of activity?
This is not the podcast talking about what is hindering the Black community. We talking about racist police tactics, placing civilians in chokehold. A Black woman by the name of Nikila Wallace didn't deserve to be in no chokehold. We lost a good brother by the name of George Floyd. He lost his life because he was in a chokehold. How many good brothers and sisters in America's blackest, poorest cities across America is going to be put in a chokehold, that's going to lose their life because of bad practices and procedures and bad policies? This is the time that the American people, the citizens of Detroit, should have a seat at the table to start working on what that policy should look like as we go forward. You know, when you see Nikila Wallace, in the chokehold, it doesn't look like a pretty picture. Am I right, Miss Brula Walker?
Heck, it don't look like a pretty picture for the simple fact she's a female and the officer is a male. We already know that scientifically men are stronger than women.
And I'm not downplaying that, Bueller or Commissioner. I'm not downplaying that at all.
Nikila Wallace could have lost her life that day on San Juan Street.
It's wrong.
We're gonna call it the way it is.
It's wrong.
Nikila Wallace could have lost her life that day.
You didn't answer the question. You did not answer the question. I'm just asking you, if I may ask the question, is when we talk about something that is demonic, it is demonic to do what that picture shows. That is demonic. Now, nobody's going to downplay that. But what I'm telling you is, and what I'm curious to know, objectively speaking, when we talk about the Detroit police force, and not to say that one murder is one too many, I get that, but I want to know in terms of this kind of activity, is it the exception or is it the norm? Now, can you just answer that question for me based on data? Is it the exception or is it the norm? That's the question, if we may answer it intelligently.
Well, that's Greg Dunmore, everybody, on 50,000 watts right here on the Tea with the Commish podcast. We're going to direct that first question by Greg Dunmore over to Scotty Bowman, Community Advisory Council member.
Okay, it probably is the exception, but it's something that shouldn't happen because we gave people special powers and those special powers are being abused. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is the exception. Most of the time, most of the police are doing the right thing. And unfortunately, we have these bad apples that we can't seem to sort out from the rest of the bushel, because unfortunately, they end up having all these protections that keep them in there. For instance, we have the case of Dwayne Jones beating up Shelby Smith over at that Shelby's right over at Receiving Hospital, and him getting a promotion, and there wasn't anything they could do about it because of the arbitration route around the charter, that they have this workaround built in. One thing that I was involved in as the chair of the citizen focus group for the Charter Commission regarding civilian oversight is I made sure that we had something in there stating that when video becomes available, like if it's body cam or other surveillance video becomes available to the police, that it is simultaneously made available to the police commissioners, that the database that the police use, that there is a duplication of that information in a database that the commissioners can access so they can see those videos when the police do. Also, something we put in there was that we try to get a residency rule in. There's a state law that's creating a problem over that. However, we were able to limit residency that the people getting jobs in the DPD have to be from within 25 miles of the city, which is pretty big actually, but still we try to.
I thought it was 20 miles.
That direction. And then there was I'm trying to remember one other thing you were asking me about. We also have in there, and I don't know if it'll stick, but right now the language we try to get into the charter, revision of the charter, is some kind of clause limiting what the police can do as far as getting around the charter, that we have something going into the contract language or a rule that they cannot put things in the contract that allow for a workaround the charter. So that's what we at least have in the tentative version of the revised charter. It remains to be seen if it survives the state attorneys and all that.
And may I ask one more question, Scotty? And this is to the commissioners. What do we do and Beulah, I feel you as a community member that we cannot tolerate abusive behavior, but what do we do to let the bad apples know that we are going to destroy you and not devalue the majority of the officers that should be role models for young people, that police work is admirable and that not all police officers are just terrible people? What can we do as a community to bring balance to saluting the police officers that are taking the job seriously and are professional and are doing wonderful things, at the same time bringing balance to letting those bad apples know that we're going to throw you in the garbage can? What is your thoughts on that? What can we do to show more balance?
For me, we need a new mayor.
Okay.
Because in every municipality, whether you live in rural America, whether you live in urban America, or whether it doesn't matter where you live at, the police department takes their direction from the mayor's office. That is the fact. We need a new mayor. If we don't get rid of Mike Duggan, we all gonna be getting our ass whooped up and down 7 Mile, 8 Mile, 6 Mile, and East Jefferson, because these police officers want this city. They want to come move back into this city. Their cities are being flooded as we speak. Fort Huron is damn near underwater by now. So they want to come move back in the city because the city has always been a place that was been above water. So you got all these suburbanites that want to come in and kick us out. So we need to get a new mayor, because as long as we got a white mayor, white people must move here. If we get a black mayor, they'll pack their shit up and go. And we need to get rid of the white mayor because he ain't the right mayor.
But whether you the mayor of Detroit or the chief of police, we gotta protect Black women right here in America's blackest, poorest city. No woman should be placed in a damn chokehold by the Detroit Police Department. We need to send a message saying that we as the people of the city of Detroit, we want to sit at the table. We want to help craft out police reforms to protect the residents of the city of Detroit. We also need to create a registry, a database of officers with misconduct, revolving use of force, and how they handle our citizens. That also needs to be recorded. We need oversight on every layer of government right here in the city of Detroit. Commissioner, District 7, Bill Davis, the People's Commissioner. We want to hear from you, because you are out in the streets, you are talking with voters, You are shaking hands. You are getting rapport. Any updates in District 7?
Well, I know we have to be more forceful with the ones that's not doing their jobs. As with any city department, it should be certainly a punishment. If you're not doing what you're paid to do, you should be consequences. And far too often we have officers that do things that they shouldn't be doing. Then the city ends up spending a small fortune in lawsuits because of the fact they're doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. There should be more consequences. I know there was a proposal someone made about they should have insurance. Limits the liability that the city has. But there's a number of things we could be looking at. And we need to make sure that we do spotlight the many good officers we have. We have a lot of officers that they're good in doing their job. But even some of the good officers are a little gray in that if they see another officer doing something they shouldn't be doing, they need to tell on them.
Scotty Bowman, good question, good statement. Scotty.
Yeah, there's I have a question here from Jay Love. Jay Love wants to know, what do we do to eliminate wrongful convictions? How do we hold police officers accountable when their lies are responsible for innocent people going to prison? Where is the updated Brady list? What about the 71 officers that can't testify in court?
Those are really good questions. You got 7,100 officers that cannot no longer testify in court.
71 officers, at least 71 officers, not 7,100.
Why do we need them on the force? They can't be accredited when they go to court. They're not even allowed to go to court. Why do we have them on the police force?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? They need to turn in their shield.
No, they need to be
for another
fired.
career.
I
This is
used to
not
work
it.
in the water department. We had a rule: if you falsify official documentation, you could be terminated. That rule should be enforced in the police department.
Yes, that's any job.
Anything that consequently a major consequence that makes somebody go to jail, they should be terminated. They should lose their pension. They should lose all their rights and benefits, and they should have to pay for that. That includes going to jail themselves.
Commissioner Bill Davis out of District 7, he go hard every single day on issues that matters to majority of us. This whole podcast, Tea with the Commish, it wasn't about me. It's about commissioners like Bill Davis, who actually doing the work in the community, who out there getting feedback, not only in his district, but citywide. It's about future commissioners like Scotty Bowman, who's serving right now on the Community Advisory Council, who's out there talking with voters every single day. It's about community activists like Ms. Marula Walker, who's out there, who got the pulse of the people. It wasn't that long ago, which also was racist, is how they was shutting off people's water in the city of Detroit. But it was Marula Walker and Miko Williams who stood up for Detroiters and say, turn back on the water, turn back on the water. You had 23,000 families in the city of Detroit had their water turned off. Right now, we're in a global pandemic, and everybody has to wear masks, wash their hands. How families gonna wash their hands when they don't have any running water? That's what
Commissioner,
Walker
there was
talking about.
144,000, correction. 144,000, okay?
144,000, that's even worse. That's even worse. But the mayor didn't even get out there and talk about poverty. Poverty is one of those words, the mayor just can't say. Maybe because he's not living in poverty. Maybe because he's not waking up in poverty. Maybe because he haven't experienced poverty or extreme poverty. We need somebody who can connect with the voters in the city of Detroit. Whether you the mayor, whether you the chief, whether you on the Detroit City Council, or whether you serve in the public office. We need somebody who got the stomach for the job to serve the people. That's why we dealing with issues right here. We talking about police reform, but we also talking about other crucial issues that also matters to the people. Scotty Bowman.
Yeah, I had a comment of my own about the false conviction issue, and it's been a pet peeve of mine for a number of years. And my attitude is that the punishment fit the crime, and the punishment be the actual sentence that goes to the falsely convicted person, so that it should be, the two should be linked. So if you're a juror and you have all the accurate facts, and you go ahead and make a false conviction, and it's overturned later, then you are subject to the same sentence that was imposed by the person falsely convicted, that the person actually served out. If the person got out in 10 years and they're sentenced to life, well, then you only serve the 10 years. But if on the end, if you are on the other hand, if it turns out that it was the jury actually was misled because of prosecutorial misconduct or lying witnesses, then those who misled the jury instead should be serving the sentence that the falsely convicted person served. So if the person, they finally overturned it after 20 years, they just served 20 years instead of life. Or if they happen to overturn it in a month, well, they at least serve a month in prison. But they serve the same sentence that the person they falsely convicted served. And that seems to me to be a punishment that fits the crime.
We got a governor who could do more to help inmates that's incarcerated, during this pandemic. The jails and the prisons falls under the governor. She put on a nice show for the people, tap dance with words a little over a month ago, talking about COVID numbers. Since we get Sleepy Joe in the White House, we haven't heard the governor spoke out much about COVID's numbers, but what is she doing to help the brothers and sisters that's on lockdown? What is she doing to help those prison guards, frontline workers, those on the real battlefield, working during this pandemic? Governor Whitman, we calling you out. We on 50,000 watts right here on this podcast, and it's uncensored. Commissioner Davis, you say I'm a nice guy. Well, you probably think we're different of me right now. I am. What you want to bring up, Commissioner? I know you have a lot of topics that you...
Well, I think that we need to be also looking at our fellow commissioners. We have some commissioners there that not doing their job, that think that all they're supposed to be there is for us to rubber stamp whatever the chair says or whatever the city says. We need true transparency, not just on the police department, but on the board of police commissioners too.
The mayor appointees on the Detroit Board of Police Commissioners, that's all they do. That's why I thank God that we got this new charter commission in place, along with the...
We don't have a new charter commission in place, and its charter is going to be people trying to make sure it's not passed.
Well, I thank God that we got Nicole Small, Jonah Underwood, and so many others that's on there, particularly the ones that's on the right side of issues, that's really listening to the people when it comes to civilian oversight. What did that oversight, how does it resemble? That's why we're here. What happens when the police come in contact with somebody that have a speech impairment? What happens when they become the next victim and thrown to the ground like Nikita Wallace, placed in a chokehold? That's why the Detroit Board of Police Commissioners is in existence right now, so we can craft policies and ideas from the public. But the public should never be cut off during our sessions. 2 minutes is not enough for public comment. There's a state legislative bill right now to give Public comments, 3 minutes. Scotty Bowman, you got your hand up.
Yeah, there's another question from Jay
Now
Love.
this is a nice guy, y'all.
Should I read it or let Jay Love say it herself?
Let J Love say it herself.
Yeah, let J Love say it herself.
You're unmuted.
Happy
Okay,
Valentine's,
voice.
Miss J Love, and happy Valentine's, Miss Beulah Walker.
thank you.
And
Happy
all the ladies
Valentine's,
that's on.
Happy Valentine's, everyone. My question
And
is,
happy Valentine's, Lisa Franklin. We know you a doll.
I would like to suggest that we have like a public hearing or a public forum where those who have been wrongfully incarcerated can come in and we can hear their stories, to collect the data and call out for reforms and policy changes within the DPD. No more business as usual. And I think if we do that, we can do it on a Zoom platform or whatever, but make it a public thing so people can see it's just not individuals. This is something that's going on way too often in our communities. We see people, as of last week, someone came home after 26 years. Every other week, there's somebody being released from our communities from being wrongfully incarcerated. So if we can put together a public hearing or some kind of public forum where we can address these hearings and have people to share their stories, we can collect enough data to put together policies or call out for reforms from not only the governor, the mayor, and the chief.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. What month or what week do you think you like to do this? You know, and together we can all would love to help assist to put that on with you.
Oh, awesome. I don't know, June, July?
June, July? June sounds great. That's only what, it's not that far away. We can have a really nice turnout for that. Do you want to do that on 9/10 or you want to do that on Zoom? Or part 1, part 2?
Yeah, we could either one or both. We can air it on 9/10 and have it show on Zoom. I don't know, but I just think that it needs to be public because we have more, what the saying is, there's more strength in numbers. So
Absolutely.
individually, you know, we're just, you know, our voices is just being unheard. But when there's more than one person standing up, speaking their stories, you can't rebuke that.
Absolutely. You know, I just recently just received some mail the other day. Young man that's locked up in, I think he's in the Wayne County Jail. You know, so Commissioner Davis and myself, we often, you know, get mail from those that are incarcerated. I think we probably the only 2 commissioners that receive mail of, you know, like that, but they have a voice and they need to be heard. And so, and we know that the police is not always doing the right thing. And that's why we really got to strengthen our oversight. You know, we the only 2 commissioners right now that call for video. You know, we call for the body worn camera, the dashboard camera. Commissioner Davis took it a step further. He said, oh no, okay, I need to see the audio. I need to listen to the audio. He wants the audio with the camera, you know, the body worn camera video, you know, so you can get a full perspective. And so he was the first commissioner to actually call for the audio with the video. You know, so, you know, but what we lacking right now is transparency from Detroit Police Department. Like if you look at the incident on San Juan Street with Hakeem Littleton shooting, the chief didn't have a problem releasing the video right away. But like something like Nikita Wallace, you know, who was out there protesting on San Juan Street later that day, that was placed in a chokehold, I'm still waiting on that video, along with Commissioner Bill Davis. Is still waiting on that video. We have asked for it, we haven't got it. So the transparency, we still got a long way to go you know, as far as transparency with the department and also with some of the commissioners, because we got too many rubber stamps on the board. And that's why I can't wait for new commissioners to come on board January of 2022. Commissioner Davis, you like to add anything to that?
Only though it need to be more severe consequences for people to do stuff they shouldn't be doing, period. Commissioners, police officers, chief of police, mayors, governors, wardens. Like the Wayne County Jail is horrible. Most state prisons in this state are horrible. I think private prisons should be banned. There's a whole lot more that we can and should be doing.
Scotty Bowman?
Oh, as I say, our discussion is going to end just about any time. So just thank everybody for participating in this conversation. And I look forward for the conversation continuing next week.
Sounds great, everyone. We're
Happy
gonna be back
Valentine's Day. Be safe, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining. Next week at 1 o'clock, we'll be back.